from. Yeah, girls want girls where I'm from.
He's not wrong. It's Drake. Drake's the best rapper alive. We can debate that in the comments, but Drake's my favorite, man. Freaking love Drake. So today in my Instagram story, which if you're not following, maybe give it a follow, but don't, it's not going to be there forever. So if you're watching this video, like, I don't know, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, my goal here is to not be on the gram, because the whole metaverse thing is really, I'm trying to get far away from this stuff as I possibly can. But I'm talking on the gram about how we're moving into a two-tier society, meaning the haves and the have-nots, or as I like to say, the peasantry and the elites. And I made this case on the gram today where I went to a little fast food joint and go through the parking lot there, and I snapped this picture. I'll put that picture up for you. And what you see there is this dude in his mask on the billboard ad there, like, hey, come on in here, we're paying this much an hour, whatever. And I was like, it's really interesting that we're moving to a spot in our culture here in North America, globally for sure, because this is a global game, but definitely here in North America, where we're just labeling our peasantry now. And, you might think that that's mean, but my mom saved my name tag, and that's how I started. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the McJob stuff. And what I'm observing here is, for the first time in a long time, the labor class really has the power. They really do have the power. They can shut down supply chains like that right now. But yet they're gonna accept their masks, like because it's not safety, right? This isn't health, right? I mean, maybe it's for the purpose of safety, because America's got to be safe. Basically, it's just like take anything great and just make it faker and gayer and call it American. That's what it is now. Like that's what we're doing. Make it as fake and gay as you possibly can. And I have a gay younger brother, so you can't even come at me on that. I identify as a meta-gay. I went over that in the gram today too. I self-identify as a meta-gay. And I've been saying that a long time before Zuckerberg started, grabbing the word meta off of me. If you've been watching the content for a little bit, especially on the gram, because I just say whatever. Because my goal is to get off the gram. I'm going to figure out how to have my own little platform, my own little way to communicate with you guys. If you guys want to hit the email list, it's below. Just get on there. I'm not actively using it at the moment, but at some point I have this vision where, like, I'll put a video up, it won't be able to be taken down, and I'll just, like, be able to ship it to my people and just say whatever the hell I want without any censorship. On this platform, we're going to keep it friendly, because there's rules and terms. We have to make it fake and gay, and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, because our peasantry at this point in time is willingly going to their slavery. Willingly. I mean, just hey, they could shut down a McDonald's at any point in time, at this point in time. Like, just don't go to work. But we've engineered this system where do they really have that option? I mean, I guess they could. And so I shared a story today about my first job, which was at McDonald's, and my manager, Mary, who absolutely hated me. And I shared the differences in class between Mary and myself. Now, I met my best friend Justin there, and he ran the front window where they took the money and ran the computer, and he talked on the speaker thing, and I had my little speaker thing, and we were like, we were real James Bond. We've kind of felt like pilots almost. We were like, yo, man, what's up? And he'd be like, hey, dude, BMW coming through. Got hotties and we would just have fun. We were just like, hey, ladies, how you doing? You going to the beach? We worked at the McDonald's next to the beach. Best beach in North America, so they say. I don't know. Girls want girls where I'm from. He has to keep McDonald's there. So it was freaking friend. And we would move like 120, 140 cars. We should probably get paid on production, but we're good with hourly because we're the best. And that's good enough compensation for us. And she hated it, despised it. And I was there to build my initial nest egg, and I saved $8,500, and I took that and I built a lawn business. And I had a lawn business through my junior and my senior year of high school, and then I sold it after high school, and I sold it for $50,000. And so I started at McDonald's at 14. I got fired from McDonald's at 15 and a half. Mary locked me in the freezer. It was okay. I was born in Boston, so it's not, I can handle a little freezer for a little bit, but I also know, like, if I wasn't running the thing out front, that eventually someone's gonna mess up, and 10 minutes later, oh, we're out of fries. Oh, should have thought about that. You can't have 120 cars rolling through on a Saturday every hour during the peak hours unless you got your fry game figured out. But no, I was in the freezer, so it is what it is. But that's back when McDonald's had the good pies, like the cheesecake pies, like the Hershey ones. I think Burger King has them now. But I was like, that's fine. I'll just hang out here and eat some pies. It's all good. And my mom had saved this because it was such a funny story back then. Because Mary just absolutely hated me. She was like, this is her career. She took it very serious. She got paid relatively well to manage McDonald's. And I always would remind her, I said, look, Mary, at some point in time, we're going to automate these McDonald's. We can't have these peasantry people coming in here and retraining them, and then they leave in four days, or they don't show up, or they're not reliable. We're going to automate this entire thing. And eventually it'll be a McDonald's vending machine, and people like you're not going to be necessary. And she was just livid about this, because at that moment in time, her and I were on the same economic playing field. I mean, arguably she was kind of wealthier than me. I guess she had a car payment. Like, she was cooler. I didn't even have a license, but we were on the same economic playing field. She was making more money, sure. But I never had her mindset. I was always a sovereign individual from the freaking beginning, and she was always a peasant. But now we're forcing our peasants as a culture to wear their masks and show themselves as true peasants. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. And I think that America is at a spot where they're unbelievably fake and gay, to an alarming rate, to a situation where I would say, how fast do you think it would take a real power, like a China power, to actually take America? A lot of people, oh, that can't happen. Look around, bro. Look around. Yeah, you're not going to Red Dawn this out. All right, and I don't think so. I think that America is an idea, and that Americans are typically trailblazers, and they typically don't value safety. They value freedom. And what's interesting is that if you look at the historical context of what a free individual, what I would call a sovereign individual, what makes up a sovereign individual? Well, it's sovereignty over their currency, it's sovereignty over their food supply, it's sovereignty over their health, over their mind, over the fact that they can protect themselves. A lot of people miss this point, but in the 1800s and 1700s and prior to that, it was a requirement for a free man to consistently be armed and understand how to use his weapon. One big point there, slaves were never allowed to legally own a weapon. But we've moved at this point in time to a culture where that's pretty much what we're doing. We're enslaving the entire population, and they're going willingly. They're just going willingly. And it's like, man, freaking crazy, because there's not this middle class. The middle class is getting wiped out, and we'll see this in the next 3 to 5 years. You'll look back and be like, what happened to middle class? Oh, it's gone. Middle class is a paycheck away from bankruptcy. We came off the gold standard in 1971, and you can look at a trend line of anything. You want to look at technology? Airplanes stopped flying faster. They peaked in 1973. Commercial jetliners are going the exact same speed that they've been going since 1973. It's basically been 50 years, and we've had no innovation, and we had the Concorde for a minute. Not they took the Concorde away. We don't even have the ability to do that anymore. So it's really interesting how we're now getting to the end game of this fiat currency system, where we will get to the spot where we will fight over what's left. Instead of growing and expanding the pie for all individuals, regardless of your economic status, to where you can start at McDonald's, you can save money, you can build a lawn business, and 24 months later, as an 18-year-old high school senior, you can sell it and get $50,000 in cash, put that cash in a checking account and get 5% interest. I was getting 5% interest on 50 grand in cash inside the banking system. At this point in time, I'm as far away from the banking system as I possibly can be, because after that, the interest rates after 08, because this was in 07 when I sold it and things were good, kind of good, beginning to collapse, went down to 0%. It makes no sense to keep money in the bank anymore. Also, there's a lot of bank failures at that point in time. Oh, there's FDIC insurance that'll bail you out. It insures less than 2% of all the deposits in North America. When there are actual bank runs, people are going to figure out that banks don't have your money. They loaned it out and they don't even have the reserves. They're not even required to have reserves now. It's pretty nuts. And so, a sovereign individual looks at that and goes, I'm going to get out of the banking system. I'm going to have sovereignty over my currency, whether it be crypto. Oh, it's volatile. Yeah, okay, it's going a lot higher. I hope it drops in half all the time so I can continue to buy it. Or I need a better storage of wealth. Gold, physical gold. silver. The laws, by the way, are amazing. When you actually start moving that type of stuff in and out of the country, you'll actually figure out that's how the elites do it. And so we're moving to this culture where there are the haves and have-nots, or the elites and the peasants. And there'll be maybe this subsect of sovereign individuals, or maybe not quite truly elite because they're not running the system and have a bunch of peasants at their disposal. But they're sovereign, and it's becoming harder. But it's something that most Americans don't even value, which is bizarre to me. Because the crazier the world gets, the more sovereignty I want over my food supply, over my energy supply, over my currency, over my wealth, over how and at what level and to who I pay taxes to, if at all. It's just odd how, and sickening, of how we're classifying these people, putting them down into that position, in my view, but they're willingly accepting it. So, when I was 14, I would have kindly told Mary to go F off if she was like, oh, you need to wear a mask to walk in here. I don't think so, Mary. Like, I'm moving 140 cars an hour. I'm doing whatever I want. You have nobody that's even half as good as that. And we were moving cars consistently. I needed 3 guys in the back, 1 dude on fries. I ran that window, Justin ran the other one. That was it. We didn't need anyone else in the store at all. Nobody had our numbers. To my knowledge, still don't have my number, because it was fun. It was fun, and we weren't doing it just for the money. We were doing it for the experience, the education, the chance to talk to 30 or 40 different sets of girls every hour. And we had girls come and get jobs at McDonald's because we were fun. Like, it was a good time. And it was also how I built my initial nest egg, and then I grew that nest egg through entrepreneurship. And then I failed a bunch of times. I'm still consistently failing. I think it's really interesting how the elites are literally just robbing and pillaging from these people, buying themselves through an identity through wearing a face piece. And it has nothing to do with science. We haven't done science in a long time in this country. There's no science to it. Show me how touching and breathing into and coughing into something, and then touching it, and then touching doorknobs, and then touching the phone, and then touching this, and then back to here. It's a central touch point. You should put some paint on it. If you were to wet paint and then see how much wet paint gets everywhere, show me the science, bro. Maybe we shouldn't go down that road too much, because this is a fully censored situation here. We don't want to get strikes too early, not until we have other situations set up. And I do remind you, the Instagram, which will probably go away, the email list, which is amazing because I have direct contact to my people, and then Odyssey, which is a decentralized platform, and then pays its creators in a cryptocurrency. This is weird. How do I pay my taxes on that? Getting weird. And so for sovereign individuals that are looking at this and are willing to play some geo arbitrage and are not stuck in this mindset of like, America's the best country in the world because it's a freaking great country. It was. Asterisk was. Now it's very fake and gay. It's very safe. It's very safe. All in the name of safety. And the peasants are just willingly accepting this. And it's freaking disgusting. And the elites are completely taking advantage of the situation to get more in power and wealth for themselves. They're taking advantage of the money print. But I made that case back in the days of McDonald's, and we're actually seeing it now, where we're going to automate these things. And there's one thing: you want to be the guy that owns the capital. You want to be the guy that owns the machine. You want to be the guy that owns the automated machines, not be one of these peasants that will be displaced by these automated machines. But it's a mindset thing. Being a sovereign individual or being a peasant is completely a mindset thing. It's not really your economic status. The long term of switching your mindset is going to put you in a different economic class for sure. And if you do that through a generation or two, it'll put you in the elite class for sure. But we're getting to this spot, and we're probably here now, where we have the peasants and we have the elites. And then maybe we have some randos that are, want to have sovereignty over their own lives, like myself. They're not quite an elite and definitely not a peasant. Never was. At 14 years of age, with my manager, Mary, I wasn't any peasant. She was a peasant for sure. I was always sovereign, even though we were on the same economic playing field. So my message to you today is consider what makes you more sovereign. How can you have sovereignty and control certain things in your life? You can't control everything in your life. There's always going to be risks and unknowns. But how can you get to the spot where you don't care about the risks and the unknowns? Because you have some level of sovereignty. Not security, not safety, but sovereignty, which comes from planning and educating and preparing and taking risks and learning and putting it through the feedback loop and doing it better and better every single time. Every single time that you fail at something, you just redo it. Okay, no big deal, just figure it out. How can you do that? and gain that sovereignty over your own life. Thanks for watching.